Want to welcome the members to the last board meeting of the calendar year. Thank you all for being here in New York City. Hazy day, not something I see very often. It gives the city an eerie look, like a black and white movie. It's odd.
Almost like
We have John Gardner on the phone. Thank you very much, John, for joining in. Can you hear us?
I can.
Outstanding.
Okay.
All right, thank you, John. I think everybody got a copy of this with your board packet. I don't know that everybody did, but I thought everybody did. No?
There's another copy.
Okay. It announces an upcoming blood drive at DASNY. It's being done in honor of Sandra, and there's a paragraph here about her. You all had an opportunity to see a lot of such paragraphs. They're all very fitting. I don't know that there are blood donors around the table, but if there are, this is a wonderful opportunity to pay tribute to a wonderful lady. And I hope you all will take advantage of that opportunity. It's on the 8th of January. It's in Albany, and it'll run for 5 hours from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. And that's probably about enough to say about that. You've all had an opportunity to read the minutes, to go through the minutes. Are there any recommended revisions? Hearing none, may I have a motion, please, to approve the minutes? Tracy, thank you. Is there a second? Thank you, Gerard. All in favor, please indicate with aye.
Aye.
The motion carries unanimously. Gerard, the Finance Committee report.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. We met yesterday here in New York City. We adopted the meeting minutes from the November 6th meeting of the Finance Committee. And then we advanced and discussed the NYU financing. And after some discussion, we recommend that that be approved at today's board meeting, and that concludes the report. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. For questions for Gerard? Hearing none, then we move on to the resolution to proceed with new financing. And, Mr. President?
Thank you.
Your side.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Immediately following the Finance Committee report on the revised agenda is the transaction summary for the New York University transaction with David Ostrander presenting. David?
Thanks, David.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The staff report provided to the members presents one or more series of tax-exempt and/or taxable, fixed and/or variable rate bonds in an amount not to exceed $1,250,000,000, with maturities not to exceed 40 years on behalf of New York University. Bond proceeds will be used to finance numerous construction and renovation projects located throughout the New York University system, and to refinance a portion of amounts drawn on the university's lines of credit for various capital projects. The new money portion is approximately $917.9 million, and the refinancing of the lines of credit would be about $251 million. I'll just highlight some of the projects that are described on page 2 with the transaction summary. The largest project is the construction of a multi-use building at 181 Mercer Street, which will include a modern athletic facility, 58 new classrooms, a 350-seat theater, and student and faculty housing. The foundation work is ongoing for that project, and it's expected to be completed in late 2021. The new classroom space within 181 Mercer frees up space within the Silver Complex for creation of laboratories for the Chemical Biology Department, and that's part of NYU's emphasis on bolstering their science programs. And lastly, improvements to facilities located at the university's Brooklyn campus, which is the former Polytechnic University that was acquired in 2014. There'll be projects to expand NYU's Engineering and Applied Sciences program, the largest of which is 370 J Street, which will transform that long, empty facility into an Engineering and Applied Sciences program in Brooklyn. That facility is nearing completion with some interior renovations that will be completed in summer of 2019. When looking at NYU, they are rated AA2 from Moody's and AA- from S&P, both with stable outlooks. So as in previous NYU transactions, It's anticipated that the loan agreement will be a general unsecured obligation of the university. Just looking at some of the financial highlights, positive demand enrollment trends have continued in recent years. For fall of 2017, the university received over 64,000 applications for first-time full-time freshmen, which is the 10th year in a row of record applications, and total headcount increased to over 51,000. As far as operations, growth in net tuition revenue, patient care revenue associated with the School of Medicine, and fundraising have all contributed to steadily increasing operating revenue. And the university's overall revenue mix is diverse. For fiscal year 2017, 30% of the university's total operating revenues came from net tuition fees. When looking at the balance sheet, NYU reported total net assets in excess of $5.69 billion for fiscal year 2017, which is a 26% increase over 5 years. Lastly, I just wanted to point out the 2018 audit was just released yesterday, so we didn't have time to include that in the report, but I just wanted to make a couple notes on the 18 financials. I think in general it's comparable to 17. The net operating ratio was negative 1.8% versus negative 1.5% for 2017, so no significant change there. And the bottom line result, the net income, was 4.6% versus 5.2% for 2017. And then on the balance sheet, total net assets increased from $5.7 billion in 17 to $6.2 billion in 2018. Wow. That's all I had, Mr. Chairman.
David, thank you very much. And thank you for your presentation in the Finance Committee meeting yesterday, where the matter was discussed. Are there questions for David? Well, hearing none. May I have a motion, please, to approve the transaction? Paul, thank you. Is there a second? Johnson, thank you very much. All in favor, please indicate with aye. Aye. David, thank you. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you. We will move on to the Governance Committee report. Chairman Johnson.
Well, seems like forever ago we met, I think it was May, and discussed at the time the recommended salary changes for the department budget. And we were informed at the time that while they were in place, they still weren't completely, they had gone through the complete vetting process. We decided at the time that we would present those wage increases when the budget department came up with its final okay. They've done that, so we present today the resolution which was distributed to take care of the long overdue wage increases for the leadership.
Thank you, Mr.
So
Chairman.
moved.
They are long overdue, and you will note that they are retroactive to April 1st. Are there questions for John? Hearing none, may I have a motion, please, to approve the resolution? Darrell, thank you. Joe, thank you for the second. All in favor, please indicate with aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. We're going to move on to management reports. First, the report of the president.
Thank you. Good morning, Rick. Good morning, members of the board. The holiday season is here, and we certainly want to thank you for your leadership and support. This was not an easy year. It was a very difficult year. But recognizing all of that, last year this time, with your leadership and support, we were very aggressive in trying to forestall the elimination of private activity bonds. We recognized that advanced refunding would go away. Had huge implications for the market last year, and it continues to resonate across the market, with volume down anywhere from 15 to 20+%. Saying all of that, we've done a lot together and have had a significant amount of success. And so we came into 2018 with clouds hovering over the industry, but we're concluding this year with an enormous amount of activity as we continue to implement more process improvements and risk management through One DASNY. We are seeing the benefits of the integration of our resources in finance, design, and construction. We've brought together more than 200 personnel and established 17 work groups in 3 key areas across DASNY: strategy, construction, and private client financing. This has been a bottom-up process. And this bottom-up process, we're continuing to advance strategies to grow our revenue, identify greater efficiencies, align stronger risk management, and identify adjacent capabilities for us to grow our business so that we can solve problems for our clients. We're using our internal communications process as well as calling upon managers to push process improvements across all of DASNY, and we're getting positive feedback from staff on that. One of the more visible areas that you're very fully aware of, you have been engaged in, is the widespread acknowledgement that exists not just inside of DASNY, but outside of DASNY, on the amendment of our financing guidelines. So clients and financial advisors, as well as underwriters, see these and other things as making our program predictable, efficient, fast, and flexible, while accounting for and distributing risk. We applied many of these improvements to the Montefiore Health System's recent $685 million hybrid tax-exempt taxable financing transaction. That was significant because it signaled to many of our healthcare partners who have not worked with us in a number of years. And when we showed you the data that shows the decline in healthcare financing, this is a huge target for us working with Department of Health in terms of bringing back many of these institutions, particularly as interest rates have climbed. So Montefiore was a very, very, very important transaction, not just for DASNY, but for the entire industry, and we're hearing that. So we definitely want to share that with you. There's more to come, and Portia will outline that. You just approved NYU. NYU continues, and it's one example, but it's a huge example, continues to recognize our ability to problem solve as evidenced by their commitment to continuing to work with us. Additionally, as part of our continued One DASNY client outreach initiative, members of the Public Finance and Portfolio Monitoring Division recently met with representatives from Mount Sinai Hospital as well as representatives from New York Presbyterian Hospital. We have a number of other meetings scheduled for the new year as well. And I'll ask Portia to address that. A very material communication that we have with them. Our team discussed the recent changes to our guidelines and the many ways DASNY could assist both hospitals in meeting their financial needs. The guideline changes have been well received by these institutions. So, with that, I won't say we are concluding the year with a whimper. It's not a bang, but it's a silencer. It is huge in terms of what we've done in fewer transactions. So, as of yesterday, or the day before, we had bond issuances totaling approximately $7.5 billion. Concluding yesterday, where we successfully executed on the PIT transaction for $1.6 billion, our aggregate issuances at this moment are $9.1 billion. This recognizes the impact of the repeal of advance refunding of municipal bonds and its influence on the market and us. So in spite of those challenges, in spite of those headwinds, in spite of the moats, walls, hurdles, whatever you want to call it, I think we continue to execute and work favorably with our clients. We'll see more. We were hopeful that we would start to see a lot more activity at the end of the year. We have a very good and strong pipeline, and then more importantly, we're getting out and talking to our partners and selling them on the importance of working with the state. So we are going to focus on the value chain and the benefits that we offer. In our construction business, we have a pipeline of 1,009 projects valued at more than $6.6 billion as of October 2018. We are augmenting our alternative delivery method capabilities such as design build, including the very successful $24 million, 263-bed residence hall at SUNY Brockport. The success of SUNY Brockport has helped pave the way for the $750 million New York State Life Sciences Public Health Laboratory in the Capital Region, as well as a very important and new $27.8 billion, 257-bed residence hall at SUNY Polytechnic Institute in Utica. So we have also demonstrated, using design build, that we can continue to meet and exceed our MWBE goals. So with Brockport, an upstate project, we had a 32% MWBE participation rate. Very important. Demonstrates to those who have criticized us and criticized the state in terms of using design build that we can be efficient, we can be impactful, and we can get the double bottom line, all right, in terms of return on capital, as well as meeting our social goals and objectives. We're also, as I said, building out adjacent capabilities. We see ourselves, again, as a turnkey solution. And we are expanding our energy performance contracting offerings by combining our current energy performance services with a tax-exempt leasing program and procurement services. Again, we see and are executing our turnkey solution and seeking to offer finance, design, construction, and energy solutions for our clients. We're currently offering a net zero carbon ready residence hall for SUNY. We'll talk about that later. The Small Projects Planning Committee has created efficiencies when working with clients such as the New York State Office for People with Developmental Disabilities. We have also instituted various process improvements to our work authorization program and work authorization and job order contracting, introducing more technology and electronic processes, and identifying and reducing redundancies that impair our ability to deliver timely results to our clients. We are selecting a new project management tool for the construction division, promoting even greater operational efficiencies. And then in partnership with the Finance and Grants Division, Information Services is implementing an application called Flux. Flux will streamline and make transparent the grants administration process to all users and clients. We have strengthened and increased the size of our legal team. They're working very closely with construction and focusing on refining the general conditions to DASNY's construction contract to better reduce DASNY's risk and exposures. We're very mindful of those issues and believe it is hugely important to be in front of the problems and identify and present solutions. So together as one DASNY, we are advancing New York State's support of innovation, social impact, growth, and inclusion, positioning ourselves to enter 2019 as a national leader in each of these important sectors. And I'm very candid when I say that, because we talk to folks across the nation and they identify the work that we are doing here at DASNY, that you are doing here at DASNY, as leading, okay, the integration of providing solutions to higher education and healthcare. We talk to our peers, and we are very much in front of that and have made some very tough decisions to really think about how we can offer more for our clients. So we're very proud of the work that we've done. I'm very proud of the leadership team and how people together have raised their hand to do more. And that's very fulfilling. Certainly, as someone who sits here and is always concerned about what are the underlying risks that we know of, what we don't know of, who's doing what, are we really working together well? What does efficiency really mean at a discrete level? What does efficiency mean at the macro level? And how we think about risk. So we've had a very strong year. As I said, it's one of those things where it's kind of silent, but you know it when you feel it. And I think the market is certainly feeling that. I'm happy to take any questions on that. Otherwise, I will proceed through some of the other things that we're working on, Mr. Chair.
Gerard, thank you. Questions for Gerard?
Gerard, you said the pipeline was around $6 billion in October?
Now, I said in October, not the pipelines. I said in terms of issuances that we...
Okay, I'm sorry.
Bond issuances as of 2 days ago, $7.5 billion.
Okay, so...
Construction pipeline.
Construction pipeline.
Oh, that was a construction pipeline. Okay.
Yes.
That's of 6.
Still a good number.
Yeah. No, I was trying to make that fit with the other industry, but I hadn't.
Yeah, our forward pipeline is starting to look good. We have a number of names coming up. Obviously, I think, some of the challenges that we have to work through are partners don't want to telegraph to the marketplace that they're executing something before they communicate with their board. So that is generally something that we will get. But I think we have a very good pipeline. And, look, the process improvements and efficiencies, we're hearing from people, and we're hearing from those who work with us, that we've taken a lot of wood out of the process. And when I say wood, I'm talking about the double work that we historically did. We can be impactful and still actively and aggressively manage risk. And that's what we're doing. So I think, we'll talk to you about some more of the stuff that we're doing, but I think it is resonating in a very favorable way. So I think you should know that.
Thank you.
Know that.
John? In the anticipated business pipeline, how, do we have any statistics that indicate how much of this is New York City metropolitan-centric versus upstate? Is this driven largely by New York City and Long Island, this part of the states?
So you're talking about the construction?
Well, construction and in financing. I mean, $1.2 billion for NYU is a lot of money. But is there any in there for Syracuse? Is anybody on the upstate private universities, are they still reeling? I mean, is this prosperity that you just reported on a New York City metropolitan phenomenon? And does it impact, how does it reflect itself across the breadth of New York State?
I'll ask Portia to touch on. I will say this with respect to upstate. We are actively and aggressively looking for ways to reposition ourselves with many of the smaller colleges and universities up there, because we believe that our turnkey solution in terms of integrating our finance, construction, and energy services meet them head on. And so that is hugely important to us. As it relates to Syracuse University.
Well, I just used that as an example. I didn't mean them.
Yeah, look, we're spending.
And they haven't been a client of
They
ours
haven't
for a
been a
long
client of
time.
ours, but Rochester
Right.
Institute of
Cornell.
Technology, Cornell, those. But what we recognize is wherever you are in this state, if you're a big institution, you're generally doing pretty well. And what we're trying to do is look at that next tier of institutions that we can support that don't necessarily have the endowments to do a lot of the building for the future and management of infrastructure. Portia, you want to touch on anything?
Sure. In my standard reports, we go through sort of the status of inquiries. So as you'll recall, the Cornell transaction, that obviously is an upstate transaction. The new entries that are on the active inquiry list are predominantly downstate. So Terrence Cardinal Cook Commodities, Rockefeller University, and NYU. The IAC transaction, those providers are a little spread out.
Other questions? John?
No.
I mean,
On the construction side, I mean, traditionally, we have this block of projects, 75% of the number of projects traditionally happen in upstate New York, whereas 75% of the spend happens down here.
Do you see any opportunities for DASNY, new opportunity zone program, with regard to maybe the not-for-profit end goal?
We have received a number of presentations on that. We're looking at that. We
And it's
think
still
so.
sort of unfolding.
It's still, I think so.
Right. You
That-
would think there would be, though.
I think so. I mean, listen, you're talking about the benefit of a tax exemption or deferring taxes for, 10-plus years or more, and that can be any of the investment strategies in an opportunity zone. It's going to be a lot of capital. The Empire State Development Corporation is really going to be the lead institution in that. We've reached out to them. They're in the midst of putting together something, but we continue to get presentations and talk to folks about ways that we can, really advance many of the state's goals and objectives. So, but we think so. We think so, but it's early.
My apologies, John. The one transaction I forgot to mention, which we talked about last month, was Catholic Health System of Western New York in Buffalo. So that's a new transaction, which, we had sort of actively pursued, and that's in Buffalo. And they're coming to us.
We have a lot of things to thank the staff for this year, but one of the things that the members probably aren't really aware of is there are important clients who sometimes have to delay in getting materials to us to consider for important financial transactions. Staff actually is in a sandwich in a situation like that because the members want the information with plenty of time to review. Often staff can't get the information. I think you all have done a superb job this year of figuring out how to both get the information in, even when it's delayed, and then getting it out to the members so that we all have an opportunity to take some time to review it. I want to thank you for that.
Okay, I think, all right. Approval of lease. So DASNY must relocate its regional office to the Rochester area. Space is not available on a long-term basis, so we have to look at other options. We have identified a space. The cost and terms were determined reasonable for lease space in this market using a rent study comparison performed by a third-party consultant. DASNY's real property staff has identified an opportunity to relocate to an existing office building within a short distance of the current field office, and it's easily accessible to major highways in the Rochester area. The new space will meet our needs and additionally, as we think about consolidation and integration, support DASNY's computer data backup server, which will be relocated from its statewide location to this location. Will be relocated from a statewide to this location from DASNY's New York City office. So we're moving what's in New York City office to Rochester. A draft lease for the space is provided within your board materials for your consideration. We ask you to, if you haven't looked at that, if you have any questions, Mike Corrigan can walk you through it.
You all had a chance to look at it. It's behind tab 3, immediately behind the President's Board report. A December 6th memorandum, 2 pages, followed by the resolution itself. Have you all had a chance, have you had a chance to review it?
I just have one question.
Yes, of course.
With the emphasis upstate by the part of the governor in this last 2 or 3 fiscal years on downtown rehabilitation, does this coincide with any efforts that they've made in trying to revitalize downtown Rochester? Since I gather this seems to be on the periphery of
It
Rochester.
is on the periphery. It's an existing office building that we are having fit out. That office services not only obviously Rochester, but down to the Pennsylvania border, out west to where Buffalo Region starts, and out east to where Syracuse is. So access to the highway system from that office, in-wall construction division staff, they're all in the field with the aside from maybe the office assistant.
They're in the field most of the time.
And they're in the field a lot of the time. And the easy access is, Steve can tell you that distance between projects in terms of downtime is excessive out there, so we're looking for the best place to put it to access the major RTO.
And they come and they go anyway. It's not like some.
Yeah. It's not a residence, it's
Right.
sort of
It's not a
not,
long-
not out of people there all the time. It
Right.
have an impact on the
Doesn't
downtown.
really have an
This-
impact.
This would not.
How big is it?
7,000 square feet.
And how many people work out of there?
I think there's-
Keeping in mind that they're not there a lot.
Yeah, no, there are 12 there right now. It can be as high as 15. Part of the problem is we've been squatting in an OPW DSO for a long time, in very small quarters, and there's no conference space in there to bring in builders and contractors. So, this accommodates a number of different needs in that area.
Mike, how do the costs compare, the new lease versus what we had?
Where we were was free.
Translation
Unfortunately, that is the net.
Unfortunately,
we're
Comes to an end.
live overcrowded and in difficult
office-
circumstances in an old building when it's for free.
All right,
Okay.
thank
I
you.
think OPWD is moving out.
They are.
So
They're
we're-
vacating some of those
They're being-
buildings there.
Dispossessed.
Yeah, so we have to go.
We have to go. It's a phased transition. We know we need to go eventually. Whether they move out of that building next year or the year after is kind of up in the air, but we know we have to go somewhere.
You're recommending the lease as it appears here, with the understanding that there may be minor changes before the lease is signed?
Yeah.
negotiated in-house, like you did in-house?
Largely in-house, yes.
Yeah. No, the landlord has signed off on this.
Oh, okay.
This time, you may
Outstanding.
recall earlier this year, we had a little issue with a landlord.
Yeah,
that
I do recall. That's why I
was
asked.
looking to change the terms
Yeah,
significantly after we had put it on the agenda. No, landlord has signed off on this.
The members have had a chance to review the resolution. It's being recommended that we approve it. Are there any other questions? Hearing none, may I have a motion, please? Gerard, thank you very much. Darrell, thank you for the second. All in favor, please indicate with aye. Aye. As there are none opposed, the motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you. Our project labor agreement with the building trades expires as of December 31st, 2018. I reached out to Gary LaBarbera a couple of weeks ago and requested to him that we would welcome an extension, and our legal folks would speak to his legal folks, and within a few days, we worked out an extension of 9 months, so that will give us optionality and time to really look at the PLA and really focus on a couple of common areas where we both believe that we can make some enhancements. So that is a 9-month extension. Today, we would respectfully request you adopt the resolution authorizing the execution of the memorandum of agreement, amending the existing memorandum of understanding between DASNY and the Building and Construction Trades Council of Greater New York and vicinity. If you have any questions, Mike Cusack can address them.
Is that enough time for you?
9 months?
It should be, yeah. We need to get 4 months to circulate through BCTC because each individual member signs it, takes it to their board. So it'll take us.
So does the whole, the PLA world is sort of in a general, not far from here, that way.
I trust you. Are there questions?
Any questions?
The December 7th memorandum appears behind tab 3, behind the lease agreement which we just reviewed. The resolution dated December 12th appears immediately behind that memorandum. And then the memorandum of agreement, which is the document that we are approving today, appears immediately behind that. The members have had a chance to review. Are there any other questions? Hearing none, may I have a motion, please, to approve the resolution? Gerard, thank you very much. Is there a second? Tracy, thank you. All in favor, please indicate with aye. Aye. There are no objections. The motion carries unanimously.
Our Finance Division is in the process of developing the proposed fiscal year 2019-2020 operating budget. Information has been gathered from all DASNY departments and compiled by the Budget Department in anticipation of sending a draft budget package to the board on or by December 31st, 2018, as required by the Public Authorities Accountability Act. This will be subject to your review at the 2019 meeting. You will be asked to adopt the budget at the March 2019 meeting. Pursuant to the requirements of the Public Authorities Reform Act, CFO Kim Nadal will provide you with an update of the fiscal performance of the authority against the fiscal year 2018-19 operating budget. Kim?
Thank you, Gerard. In your materials, we included a memo that describes the changes from the approved budget for the year. As you see in the memo, the year-end projection has improved from the budgeted amount.
Kim, would you
Are you
remind
not
us,
finding
please,
it?
where it is?
Seven.
Where is it?
Tab
It
7.
is,
Seven.
yes, with the financial report,
Okay,
behind the treasurer's report.
got it. Oh, there it is. Okay.
Okay, so our projection currently for the end of the year is an improvement over the budgeted amount by nearly $1.4 million. As we've seen in the past and we've been hearing over the course of this fiscal year, we have been spending more of our time supporting our public clients as opposed to private clients. That causes more of the allocation of our liability for our post-retirement benefits, in this case primarily health care, to our public clients. That has resulted in a shift of approximately $1.3 million, which is beneficial to the net income for DASNY for the year. One thing I do want to note is that the accounting rules for post-retirement benefits are changing for this fiscal year, similar to what we saw with pensions 2 years ago. We are in the process of working with our actuary and KPMG on the implications. Those implications are therefore not reflected in this projection. I likely will not have that information until the end of the year, early the next fiscal year. Information is still being gathered to send to the actuary. Are there questions on the projection?
Kim, would you take a second and explain the OPEB changes? You just referred to it, but I'm not sure that I understood it completely.
Yes, certainly, Al. So we have approximately $155 million liability for those future benefits that is recorded on our books. And we allocate that liability between our public and our private clients based on the amount of support that we provide to them. We use a rolling 5-year average to do that so that we are not seeing year-over-year anomalies in the amount of time that we in 1 year might spend more or less on the public's and private clients. This year we had just under a 0.9% change in what we budgeted for public client support versus the actual. Because of the size of the liability, a 1% change in that level of support is approximately $1.5 million worth of an impact to us, which is why you're seeing something a little short of that with the 0.9%.
What exactly does that mean? That means what, that the
I'm sorry?
public agencies are assisting in the payment of our benefits?
As do the private clients, yes. So similar to any of our other benefits or our payroll taxes, when we send bills to the public clients, it is factored in there, and it is factored into the rates that we set when we do our financing fees.
I mean, this, when we're talking about this is the adjustment to it, not the overall liability. The overall liability obviously sits on the balance sheet. What we actually charge them is the current year cost of that, providing those benefits. This liability sits out there.
Right, it's our liability, right?
Well,
It's a future liability, yes. Yes.
but we will be paying it over time out to the retirees in terms of post-employment benefits that they get from us.
So in large part, each year's annual expense does reflect an additional year of service for the active employees. So as I work an additional year, the actuaries determine what the future benefit for me is going to be, how long I'm going to work, how much is associated with this year. And then we look at the future liability in total, and each year true up what that liability is in terms of how much has been allocated to public clients versus private clients based on how much we have supported the two groups of clients.
Good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Other questions?
I'll turn things over to Portia, who will provide additional details regarding our outreach meetings with Mount Sinai and New York Presbyterian, as well as the market update and the recent transaction that we did yesterday.
Thank you, Joe. Behind tab 4, the standard public news reports. As David had mentioned earlier, we did price our $1.6 billion PIT transaction yesterday. We had a successful transaction pricing in a difficult market. The transaction was comprised of $1.56 billion in tax-exempt bonds and $103 million in taxable bonds. One thing that I did want to note for the board, since the last meeting in December, S&P, one of the rating agencies, had implemented new rating criteria for bonds such as the PIT and sales tax bonds. In implementing that new criteria, there was a rating recalibration, and these bonds were calibrated to a rating of AA+ from AAA, so a one-notch difference. The credit remains a credit. I don't think that, we've seen any kind of market reaction to that in terms of investor reaction and pricing. The market has been volatile. There have been a number of things that have been factored in from the investor perspective, scaled back expectations about the number of Fed rate increases for next year, increased tensions with China over trade, inverted Treasury yield curve from 2 to 5 years, concerns about an economic slowdown, and uncertainty about the outcome of Brexit. Total supply for this week is high at 9.7 billion. This is effectively sort of the last really full week of supply for the year. New issue supply, as George had indicated earlier, is down this year as compared to last, approximately 19%. Municipal bond funds have reported outflows for the 11th straight week. In terms of overall comparisons, 10-year and 30-year MMD have decreased by 19 basis points, 37 and 33 basis points since the November board meeting. Just a little bit more on the client outreach. Gerard had mentioned that is part of our One DASNY initiative. We have been reaching out to clients to get the word out about the guidelines changes and some of our other process improvements. We did meet with Mount Sinai and New York Presbyterian last month. The meetings were really very positive. You know, we talked to them about the changes to the guidelines. We highlighted the Montefiore transaction, you know, sort of the hybrid tax-exempt taxable approach. That's something that I think, you know, has resonated with a lot of the healthcare institutions. We reminded them about the work that we do through our construction division in terms of the architectural reviews for the certificate of need. That's something that's been very well received by institutions that have worked with our construction department there, and I think, you know, it's been important to remind clients that we provide that kind of service. We also have reminded them about the work that we've undertaken with the Department of Health to streamline the requisition process as part of our financing process as they're drawing out funds. And that too has been something that has really been very positively received. Some of the specific feedback, when we talked to Mount Sinai, you know, they reflected that we really have a very, very positive relationship with them. And they, you know, they certainly wanted to emphasize that. One of the interesting things that they did note, however, is that from where they sit, they thought that we were very good at identifying problems that had come up, but that we were really not so good at identifying solutions to those problems. So, you know, something for us to take back and really think about in terms of how we move forward with the One DASNY implementation. On the New York Presby side, you know, they too, notwithstanding the fact that we haven't worked with them for quite a number of years, they too felt that we had a very positive relationship. One of the things that they had noted that they thought really made a lot of sense and they were really pleased to hear is when we talked about the process improvements and when we talked about bringing greater efficiencies to our financing process, we had noted the fact that, you know, part of that approach was that we, from the DASNY perspective, were really going to focus on the governmental approvals. And take a step back and really let the third-party professionals drive the working group process. And that was something that was really well received on their part and they thought would really help the process because from their point of view, you know, as from all of the clients, time and cost is really, you know, foremost in their minds as they think about their choice of issuers. So again, you know, very, very productive meetings, very good feedback, really, you know, giving us things to think about as we move forward with the One DASNY implementation. And as Gerard had indicated, you know, we'll continue to meet with existing clients and reach out to new prospective clients as well. So we will keep you posted on that progress. The only other thing I wanted to mention is also behind the standard reports is bond sales summary, which also includes performance metrics. So that concludes my report. Thank you.
A quick question on the recalibration of the rating agencies, especially on the PIT bonds. I noted that it was sold before the recalibration, I think. Is that right or not?
It sold after the recalibration.
It did. And you saw no increase in the interest rate of note or anything as a result of it?
No, the feedback that we had received is that, you know, the recalibration of the rating did not really have an impact in the investor perception as far as the bonds are concerned.
Excellent. And I'm having a hard time reconciling the lower interest rates generally in the past month, possibly, with outflows in municipal bond funds. Do you see either the outflows continuing, or do you think as interest rates kind of become less volatile or more predictable in 19 that the outflows will stop or at least moderate?
Honestly, Beryl, I really don't know.
I'm just curious myself.
Yeah, I really don't know. I mean, just going back to one thing on the PIT credit is that notwithstanding the rating recalibration, I think folks understood that at the same time, happening independently, there's a recognition that, the credit is actually had a lot of positive things in terms of the change from the 25% to the 50%.
Right.
As for the overall market question that you're asking, really very good question. I don't know that, I really have sort of the qualifications to answer that question. There's no doubt, though, there's been a tremendous amount of volatility in the market. Last week, MMD tightened up quite a bit. I want to say one day it was maybe 8 basis points, another day it was really 6 basis points. Things may have swung, very far in one direction and then maybe swing back a little bit. I think there's always a recognition that MMD is kind of a lagging indicator.
Certainly of the real economy anyway.
But, certainly we will, do our best to keep the board posted as far as general market conditions are concerned.
Great, thank you. And also, just as a advance refunding, I know with the new House of Representatives coming in 19, I'm sure there's a lot of thought of trying to reestablish the importance from municipal bond for advance refundings to be tax deductible.
I hope so. I don't know.
Random thought, but yeah.
I don't know
But a good random thought.
Yeah, I don't know what's on the table between, there's a lot of focus on infrastructure, huge focus on infrastructure, so there's a commonality, maybe this rises to that
It
as
would
well.
seem like a natural combination, actually.
We'll hold.
Yes.
Are there other questions for Gerard or Portia?
Okay. Important item, DASNY has selected Huber Breuer, the construction company, to deploy design build to construct the new $27.8 million 257-bed residence hall at SUNY Polytechnic Institute at Utica. Occupancy of the building is planned for August 2020, and as I had said earlier, this will be constructed as zero net ready, meaning in addition to exceeding existing energy codes, the infrastructure for future energy performance systems will be in place, ultimately leading to a zero net energy consumption facility once these systems are installed. The construction team will utilize design build as previously mentioned. The project will be financed through DASNY's SUNY Dormitory Facilities Program, which, as you know, issues low-cost, tax-exempt bonds supported by student residence hall fees. I'd like to highlight to you the Dominican World War II Veterans Monument dedication. On Friday, November the 2nd, Bronx Community College opened the nation's first World War II Dominican Veterans Monument. DASNY constructed a memorial which consists of a granite wall with names of soldiers engraved in it and provided the surrounding landscape. Bronx Community College was awarded $400,000 in state and local funding to construct the memorial. On November 29th, I had the pleasure and opportunity to speak with a group of graduate students at John Jay College of Criminal Justice in Manhattan. This was actually the first speaker in their annual public speaker forum. We spoke about the importance of public service and understanding the role DASNY plays in serving all New Yorkers. December 5th, I participated in a panel discussion at the Infrastructure Investor Summit in New York City. Focus was on delivering inclusive, sustainable communities, focused on alternative delivery methods we're using in construction for higher education and healthcare institutions. We talked about energy performance contracting, green building initiatives such as zero net energy, and our goals for MWBE programs and policies. A ribbon cutting ceremony was held on November the 27th at Hutchings Psychiatric Center in Syracuse for the completion of the facility's multi-phase inpatient building renovation project. DASNY managed the design and construction on the project. Steve will now provide you with an update on the construction division work. Thank you.
Can I ask one question? I don't really understand what net zero.
Ready? Okay. You can-
Yeah, just at a real high level.
Very high level.
Very high level. The energy used is supplied on site. So there's really no going offline or out to the grid for any energy purposes. And that's can be accommodated by a number of different technologies. At 515 Broadway, we have the PV system up on our roof. That's an example of.
Now I understand.
But the project out in Utica is going to be net zero ready, meaning that we will construct the project, and at some future point in time, the plug-ins will be financed and provided to bring that facility to net zero. So it's really all about energy consumption and energy use and what's supplied on site. Okay, behind tab 5 is the construction division standard report. On the cover of the construction projects report is a plan view and elevation of the Rochester Psych Center. This is a roof replacement project for buildings number 48 and number 60. The scope of the project was to remove and replace 116,000 square feet of roof construction and accessories to provide a new roof, new flashings, and reinstallation of coping caps. The budget was $4.4 million. Our design consultant was Labella Associates. We started design in February of 2016 and completed in October of that year. The general contractor was a local roofing contractor, Elmer W. Davis. They've done a lot of work for us out that way. Construction started in April of this year and finished in October. Just some challenges and features of the project. I mean, replacing a roof isn't very exciting, but this was a tough project given the fact that the facility was occupied. We needed to utilize areas around the surrounding perimeter of the building for laydown of materials and access to the roof. Given the size of the roof, 116,000 square feet, and the fact that the facility was fully occupied, this is a hospital including the forensic population unit. We had multiple staging areas and parking lots that we needed to utilize, and really the basic logistics of the project were very challenging. Just a kind of a personal note, this was a DASNY project 24 years ago that we constructed, Rochester Psych Center. Dan Gaffney was our project manager back then, 24 years ago, and he was the PM on the roof replacement, so it's kind of seeing the whole thing come to go. So, and today's Dan's birthday. Believe it or not. He told me yesterday, did you do the board report yet? I said, no, I'm doing it tomorrow. Oh, it's my birthday. So
Send him a happy birthday.
I will do that. Okay, deeper into the report, we've added a couple of new projects at Pilgrim Psych Center out on Long Island. For OMH, we have a building envelope upgrade project worth $5.1 million. And SUNY Purchase, we have an ongoing bathroom renovation project, which will take this summer and next summer, called the Crossroads Rehab Project. It's at $11.8 million, so $16.9 million in new projects. The drop projects are just a function of the dollar sizing of these projects. This report has projects basically over $5 million in value. These two projects, the Lehman College and Brooklyn College projects, both fell underneath that threshold, so we've removed them from the report. Deeper into the report, we have our construction expenditures update. Prior year to date, we have $528 million in expenditures through October. Current year to date, we're at 426. This is a decrease of about $102 million in construction expenditures year over year. And quickly running through project and program updates, I'll start with the Court Officers Training Academy. This should be the last report on that project. I know I've been reporting on it for a while. We received TCOs for both buildings 1 and 2 in November. OCA conducted a ribbon cutting for the project on December 3rd. Punch list work continues, along with a few associated tasks to receive the final C of O from the New York City Department of Buildings. And OCA is planning a January 19 occupancy of the two buildings. As Gerard mentioned, Hutchings PC out in Syracuse, rehabilitation project was completed in November, and the ribbon cutting was held, as Gerard noted, on November 27th. They plan to occupy formally on December 19th, so next week they'll begin moving in. Out at South Beach, the Psych Center, we had an executive meeting last Thursday. Meetings and a walkthrough of the project with OMH, TDX, our CM, Dematis, who's our GC, and DASNY. Building enclosure tasks continue with curtain wall, punched windows, and masonry installation ongoing. Interior MEP and finish work is continuing. Project remains about 60 working days off the baseline schedule. However, progress is being made really throughout the project. We're meeting with our CM, TDX, today and circling back with OMH tomorrow on that meeting. Our next on-site meeting for the project is January 10th. On the SUNY side, capital projects that are out to bid right now or are bidding or are awarded include SUNY Poly, as Gerard mentioned, 27.7 design build project starts in the spring of 19, occupies in the fall of 2020. SUNY New Paltz, this is the Deo Hall renovation project, $25 million. This is a CM at risk project. We will start that in May of 19 and finish again in fall of 2020. SUNY Oneonta, we have a $14.5 million project that's starting in May and finishing in fall of 2020. SUNY Cortland, Smith Casey Towers, another CM at risk project. Construction should be starting during the summer or fall of 2019 and completing in fall of 2020. SUNY Plattsburgh, we're under design with design documents closing in on Kent Hall. It's a $12 million rehab. Again, starting in May of 19, finishing in fall of 2020. And Fennell Hall at SUNY Oswego, this is a $10 million upgrade, starting in December of 2019 and completing the fall of 2020. The current capital projects at Buffalo State, that's Tower 3, Plattsburgh, Whiteface Hall, Albany, SUNY Albany, G&H Res Halls, and Alfred's Mackenzie Hall are all advancing toward completion by the summer of 2019. And the 40 2019 summer projects with a construction value of $50 million, we're completing design and or bidding or awarding those projects at this time. Quickly on NYCHA, 69 of the 80 security projects are now complete. 32 of the 38 appliance installations at the different developments are complete. And on the quality of life side, 4 of the 49 projects are complete, 24 are in construction, 20 are in design, 1 project on hold. Just quickly on Moynihan Station and Javits, renovation work continues at Moynihan Station on the train hall, mostly vertical transportation from the train hall to the track level, as well as renovations throughout the complex. Skylight work in both the train hall and the mid-block is in progress, and we continue a full-time staff presence through our term consultants to aid in our role as the permitting entity. At Javits, the project's transformer building is moving toward a early 2019 TAO date. The expansion project steel frame continues to progress, and most of the foundation work there is completed this time. Lastly, Gozer, of the 35 DASNY managed projects, 4 are in construction, 8 are on the verge of moving into construction, the balance are completing design. Just a couple other construction division notes. The OPWDD 2018-19 CMM program came to us with 96 new small projects. Those projects are advancing into the design stage right now. We continue to recruit for CD staff based on retirements and succession planning. We started the winter 2018-19 construction division training series, and we're working on completing an update to our procedures, hopefully by the end of December. That's it.
Thank you very much, Steve. Are there questions for Steve? Hearing none, we're going to move on to tab 6 and the report of the general counsel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tab 6 is the board review and action chart for the calendar year 2019 for the benefit of our several new board members. This chart sets forth the plan for addressing the statutory part of the board's oversight function. It includes the items that we need to wrap up at the end of the fiscal year at our March meeting, and also items that we need to address during the next fiscal year. The largest part of this will be the 12 items at the March meeting. You can feel free to start looking over those materials. If you have any questions, let us know. We're getting some feedback from some members on some of the items in the March set of documents, and we keep track of that and try to bring it all to bear when we come back to that meeting. But with that said, this is the plan, and if there's any questions, feel free to call me. Thank you.
I think the other thing, Mr. Chair and board members, obviously we are always concerned about risk and focusing on our procedures and protocols. And one of the things that I've asked Mike and the legal team to do each and every year is come before the board annually and just as a reminder of our procedures and protocols. I think that helps each and every one of us in terms of compliance and just reaffirming what is in place in terms of good governance. Just very de minimis.
Do you foresee, it's early yet, bylaw revisions this year?
That's up to the board, and I hate to put the question back, but there's been some discussion on. We did amend the bylaws this year to address the weather situation.
Yes.
And allowing video when a member can't make it to the quorum location.
Right.
A
good amendment.
Yep, a good amendment. And, I don't know if there's any other things that the board wants to change. I mean, we'll research and look into whatever is identified.
Do the members all have, at the ready, copies of the bylaws? You all have the bylaws?
They're on the website.
I think they are.
Yes. They are. They're under the board section, and it's in the binder as well.
Right. I have a binder, right?
The first or second item inside.
These are board members who are in the 21st century. They're like, what? What are you talking about?
Copy of the Bible. Thank you, Paul. Thanks very much.
Thanks.
Other questions for Mike about this document? Hearing none, we're going to go into an executive session. May I have a motion to go into the session to discuss the financial and credit history of particular corporations, proposed pending or current litigation, and the employment history of particular persons or matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of particular persons. I'll read that again if you'd like. Thank you very much, Joe, for the motion. Is there a second? Tracy, thank you very much. All in favor, please indicate with aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Kim, we are in executive session.
We're on.
Read that. We've just left an executive session during which no decisions were made other than to return to the public session. Kim, do you have anything to add to the report that's in the book?
No, I don't. Thank you, Al.
Okay, thank you very much. And that completes the business for the day. A couple of comments, personal for me. I want to thank the board for its support, both its support for me and for the organization, for 2018. Your attendance was strong. I'm very grateful for that. Your participation was always pretty vigorous. I mean, you're up and down, but it's a very pleasant experience to sit with this board, and I enjoyed it enormously. Today, we approved one of the largest transactions in DASNY's history, fitting in to a very successful 2018, at least I think so. We have two new members. Well, one member is completely new, and the other member is coming back. We want to thank you both for being here and for accepting the responsibilities that you have undertaken. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We lost a colleague this year, somebody who was whose contributions were always important, and whose contributions were sometimes profound. She was one of my go-to people when I had questions about my own leadership here, and she was always candid, and I appreciated her. Want to thank the staff. You all make us look good, and we're very grateful for that. We know how hard this job is, and we know how much pressure you're under, and you performed extraordinarily well, as you have in the past, every year in the past. We will see you again on January 9th in Albany. I hope you can all be there. I think it's the 9th, isn't it?
Yes.
It's the 9th, okay, all right. Wish you a happy holiday, period, and Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is there any other business to come before this board?
Thank you for your leadership first.
You're very kind, sir. Very kind. Hearing none, may I have a motion, please, to dismiss the last meeting of calendar 2018? Beryl, thank you. Is there a second? Paul, thank you very much. All in favor, please indicate with aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Thank you.